The Senate will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bridges. Buckner. Buckner. Coleman. Cook. Coram. Danielson. Donovan. Finberg. Fields. Gardner. Janal. Gonzalez. Hanson. Heisey. Holbert. Hawkes Lewis. Kirkmeyer. Kolker.
Excused.
Lee. Liston. Lundeen. Moreno. Pedersen. Priola. Rankin. Rodriguez. Scott. Simpson. Smallwood. Sonnenberg. Story. Winter. Winter. Woodward. Zenzinger. Mr. President.
Here. The morning roll call is with 34 present, 0 absent, 1 excused. We have a quorum. Would the good senator from Alamosa please lead us in the pledge?
Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the journal. Senator Buckner.
Mr. President, I move that the reading of the Journal of Tuesday, April 27th, 2021 be dispensed with and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Senate Services.
April 28, correctly engrossed Senate Bills 11, 94, 98, 103, 126, 189, 244. Correctly revised House Bills 1051, 1055, 1090, 1099, 1143, 1160, 1223. Correctly re-revised House Bills 1095, 1108, 1112, 1188, 1207, 1220. Correctly enrolled Senate Bills 6 and 152.
Committee reports.
April 27th, Committee on Transportation and Energy. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 238 be amended as follows. So amended, be referred to the Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on Transportation and Energy. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1186 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on Transportation and Energy. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1139 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 27th, Committee on Transportation and Energy. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1056 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1114 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation be placed on the consent calendar. April 27th, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1132 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1151 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. April 27th, Committee on Local Government. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1249 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1117 be amended as follows, and so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1222 be amended as follows, so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1121 be amended as follows, so amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. SCR 001 be postponed indefinitely. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1212 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1236 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1231 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Recommendation placed on the consent calendar. April 27, 2021, Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1116 be referred favorably to the Committee on Appropriations. April 27th, Committee on State, Veterans, and Local Affairs. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following. House Bill 1016 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation.
Third reading of bills, consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all of the bills listed on the consent calendar?
I'm good. House Bill 1143 by Representatives Froelich and Soper and Senators Danielson concerning forensic medical evidence of sexual assault. House Bill 1223 by Representative McLaughlin and Senators by Representative McLaughlin and Soper and Senators Story and Quorum concerning the creation of the Outdoor Recreation Industry Office and the Office of Economic Development.
Members, I'll wait. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of all the bills on third reading of bills consent calendar, which includes House Bill 1143 and House Bill 1223.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills listed on the third reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing no discussion, are there any no votes on any of the bills listed on the third reading consent calendar? Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to be recorded as a vote, no on House Bill 1223.
Senator Sonnenberg will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to be recorded as a no vote on 1223.
Minority Leader will be recorded as a no vote on 1223. Senator Woodward.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223.
Senator Woodward will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223. Senator Lundin.
Good morning, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Lundin will be recorded as a no vote on 1223. Senator Smallwood.
Good morning, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223.
Senator Smallwood will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223. Senator Kirkmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to record it as a no vote on 1223.
Senator Kirkmeyer will be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1223. With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, House Bill 1143 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Zenzinger, Cook, Janal, Winter, Heisey, Lee, Pedersen, Fields, Priola, Hawkes Lewis, Story, Buckner, Rankin, Simpson, Rodriguez, Donovan, Scott, Liston, Gonzalez, the Majority Leader, Gardner, Lundin, Bridges, Woodward, Coram, Hanson, the Minority Leader. Please add the President. With a vote of 28 ayes, 6 no votes, 0 absent, 1 excused, House Bill 1223 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Gonzalez, Winter, the Majority Leader, Danielson, Janal, Lee, Bridges, Hawkes Lewis, Pedersen, Fields, Rodriguez, Priola, will the clerk please read the title to third reading bill's final passage? Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1090?
House Bill 1090 by Representative Valdez A. and Senators Gonzalez concerning certain criminal marijuana offenses.
Senator Gonzalez.
Gracias, Presidente. I move House Bill 1090 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1090 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Cook, Gardner, Lundin, Sonnenberg, Liston, Simpson, Kirkmeyer, Woodward, Scott, Heisey, Rankin. With 23 ayes, 11 no votes, 0 absent, and 1 excused, House Bill 1090 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Moreno, Lee, will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1055?
House Bill 1055 by Representative Woodrow and Senators Pedersen and Winters concerning allowing compensation for a school district board of education by written resolution.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the passage of House Bill 1055 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1055 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators, Mr. Minority Leader, Cook,
It's just stuck on that.
the Senate will stand in a brief recess. The Senate will come back to order. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1055?
House Bill 1055 by Representative Woodrow and Senators Pedersen and Winters concerning allowing compensation for School District Board of Education by written resolution.
Senator Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1055 on third reading and final passage.
Will the clerk please add Senator Colker to the roll call? Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1055 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader. Senators Lundin, Gardner, Sonnenberg, Priola, Smallwood, Simpson, Cook, Liston, Scott, Kirkmeyer, Heisey, Quorum, Woodward, Rankin. With 20 ayes, 15 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1055 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Gonzalez, Danielson, Hansen, will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1051?
House Bill 1051 by Representative Geithner and Burden, Senators Pedersen and Liston concerning publicly available information about applicants for public employment.
Senator Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1051 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say for folks who are gaming this system, you have to have more than one finalist see you, or we will be coming back to this bill. Thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1051 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Smallwood, Woodward, the Majority Leader, Simpson, Rankin, Gonzalez, with 28 ayes, 7 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1051 is passed. Co-sponsors. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1099?
House Bill 1099 by Representative Ransom and Michelson Janay and Senators Zenzinger and Smallwood concerning authorization to implement best practices for child welfare caseworkers to recognize domestic abuse and in connection therewith addressing domestic abuse as a form of child abuse or neglect and making an appropriation.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1099 on third reading and ask for your aye vote. And this is on behalf of Ty Tesorio and all of the children victims of child abuse.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of House Bill 1099 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senator Sonnenberg.
99 to 1. Good work. Good job.
With 34 aye votes, 1 no vote, 0 absent, 0 excused, House Bill 1099 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Janal, Winter, Danielson, Story, Heisey. Please add the President. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 094?
Senate Bill 94 by Senators Janal and Winter and Representative Roberts concerning the continuation of the State Board of Pharmacy and in connection therewith implementing recommendations contained in the 2020 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies and making other changes regarding the practice of professions regulated by the Board.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 94 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is passage of Senate Bill 094 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? With a vote of 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 094 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Hawkes Lewis, Pedersen. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 098?
Senate Bill 98 by Senators Hawkes, Lewis, and Pedersen, Representatives Mullica and Rich, concerning the continuation of prescription drug monitoring program.
Senator Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 98 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Senator Hawkes Lewis.
And we ask for your support.
Are there any no votes on Senate Bill 098? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 098 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Winter, Janal, Moreno, Priola, Gonzalez, Buckner, will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 103?
Senate Bill 103 by Senators Svenberg and Winter and Representative Escar, concerning the continuation of the Office of Consumer Counsel in connection therewith implementing the recommendation contained in the 2020 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies regarding the Office of Consumer Counsel and the Utility Consumers Board.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 103 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 103 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Gardner, the Minority Leader, Cook, Heisey, Liston, Scott, Woodward, Rankin, Smallwood, Lundin, Kirkmeyer. With 23 ayes, 12 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 103 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Kolker, Story, Janal, Gonzalez, Hansen, Fields, Bridges, Moreno, Pedersen, Buckner, Lee, Hawkes Lewis. Please add the President. Will the clerk please read the title of Senate Bill 126?
Senate Bill 126 by Senator Fields and Representative Michelson Janae, concerning credentialing of physicians of participating physicians and health coverage plan provider networks and in connection therewith making appropriation.
Senator Fields.
Mr. President, I move Senate Bill, is it 126?
Correct, Senator.
On third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 126 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Scott, Rankin, Smallwood, Gardner, Lundin, Cook, Liston, the Minority Leader, Woodward. With 25 aye votes, 10 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 126 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Janal, Moreno, Rodriguez, will the clerk please read the title of Senate Bill 189?
Senate Bill 189 by Senators Donovan and Representative Arndt and Catlin, concerning the funding of Colorado Water Conservation Board projects and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move on third reading and final passage, Senate Bill 189, and ask for your aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, yesterday we changed what the Colorado Water Conservation Board had asked us to do. But we changed it to give money to a magazine. We changed it not for water quality. We didn't change it to add money for roundtables. We didn't change it to add money for the Species Conservation Trust Fund to help with our federal obligations. We changed it to fund a magazine. If CWCB would have wanted the magazine funded, they would have done so at the $150,000, $100,000, $50,000 level. Members, I'm going to ask you to vote no, since we have hijacked this bill from Colorado Water Conservation Board. I'm going to ask you to vote no until we get it right. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly understand the concern of my colleague from Sterling. Water money is really hard to find, and when we're facing impending drought and challenges of our small towns across the state meeting water quality standards, I think it's really important that we do pay attention to every dollar that we put towards water in this state. But I would hate to see Water Education Colorado classified as just a magazine. While their Headwaters magazine is a remarkable resource for education, they do that important work of teaching folks about water, and in this state, that's an important body of knowledge to have. So appreciate my colleague from Sterling continuing to always bring attention to how we're spending dollars on water on this state, but would ask you to support the bill as amended.
Having no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 189 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Sonnenberg, Mr. Minority Leader, Lundin, Cook, Liston, Scott, Kirkmeyer, Woodward, Smallwood. With 26 aye votes, 9 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 189 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Lee, Winter, Moreno, Hawkins Lewis, Simpson, Gonzalez, Story, Hansen, Bridges, Pedersen. Please add the President. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 244?
Senate Bill 244 by Senators Garcia and Fenberg and Representatives Garnett and Escar concerning funding for permanent part-time legislative aides for members in the General Assembly to allow aides to be eligible to enroll in state health benefit plans pursuant to a policy adopted by the Executive Committee of the General Assembly.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 244 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any discussion? Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I just wanted to say a few brief remarks in support of Senate Bill 244. I think it's a long overdue step to take in the right direction for compensating the aides that work so hard to serve the people in each of our respective districts. These are talented, dedicated public servants, and they deserve our gratitude, yes, but they deserve health care. And if we are in this building saying that we expect employers across the state to treat their employees properly, to pay them what they're worth, and to treat them well with things like health care, we should do the same thing inside these walls. I know that I expect so much of my staff because what they provide for me is help with policy, constituent responses, scheduling. I would not be able to do my job without my staff, and that is one paid staffer and a couple of interns who are volunteers. And not only do they deserve and need this health care so that we can continue to have these qualified and dedicated individuals who serve our offices so well, they need it because these shouldn't be reserved for people who are independently wealthy or who are retired or for some other reason have the flexibility to do a really difficult job for very low pay. And not only do they deserve health care, but they deserve better pay. And I sincerely hope that today is just the first step in the right direction in getting the aides inside this building that work so hard for the people in our districts the compensation that they need to be able to continue to do a really great job. And that in the future we see more in terms of full-time status and better pay so that these folks can have a decent living doing a really, really important job. They have my sincere gratitude and my dedication to continue to work down that path. Thank you so much, folks, and I urge an aye vote on Senate Bill 244.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President, and colleagues, I appreciate the Chamber's indulgence on just offering a few words in support of Senate Bill 244. Yesterday, the minority leader mentioned those that got our start as legislative aides. I am one of those people. I was a legislative aide in the 2010 legislative session and the 2011 session before getting elected to the House of Representatives in 2012. I was fortunate, colleagues, that when I served as a legislative aide in 2010 and 2011, I was also a city council member in Commerce City. So I got my health care, my health benefits through the city of Commerce City. Had I not had that second position, I can almost assure you that I would have gone without health insurance for those 2 years. Because simply we don't pay enough, we don't pay legislative aides enough to afford their own health care. This is a small step, a moderate step, to try to professionalize a little bit our workforce here in the Capitol, to extend a very basic workplace and human right, and that's access to health care. So I appreciate everything that our aides do. Clearly, they do give a start, because here I am sitting with all of you in the state Senate, and that's how I got my start, as a legislative aide. But just getting your start doesn't mean that you should go without health care or basic workplace benefits. So I encourage your support of Senate Bill 244.
Senator Winter.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of this bill. Yesterday we had a conversation around public service and what that means to dedicate your life to public service. And our aides are at the first step where we can be bringing them in where they are going to lead a life of public service and change the world. And I want that open to everyone. And providing healthcare is a first step to this very important position. The work we do down here is serious. The work we do down here is important. The work we do down here impacts millions of people. And in order to do that work to our best ability, we need really good staff. And that means offering healthcare as a first step. We also need to work to make sure that we have staff year-round and that we're paying them well, because they are professionals. I love my aides and rely on my aides. And I've only had one aide every single year that I've been down here for 7 years, because I work really hard to make sure that they have the connections, the skills, the ability to go get a higher paying job. But that's a personal sacrifice to me, because then every year I'm resetting up my office. Every single year I am working with someone new. And if we actually provided health care and had year-round help, we could do better at our jobs. And so this is one very first important step. And I just want to say thank you to all the aides in this building and the hours and dedication and passion they put into this job.
Senator Pedersen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in support of Senate Bill 244. I think that everybody has already hit on these points, but our aides should be able to not come from not just come from wealthy families or have to live in poverty to do these jobs. One of the most frustrating parts of my work down here is trying to push against this is how we've always done it, so this is how we're going to continue to do it, no matter how much better that system could be. This is a fight that I feel like it's so long overdue. And overwhelmingly, we all agree that one of the biggest barriers we face to do our jobs and make sure that we are doing the outreach in our districts and supporting our constituents when we're not in this building, preparing for session, is having staff ongoing. And staff that are not just barely able to get by and looking for the next place to leave immediately. And, it is the absolute minimum that we can be doing right now. I want to thank Mr. President and Mr. Majority Leader for bringing this bill and making sure that at the very least, our aides actually have access to health care. So we have to do better. People cannot survive with $15 an hour here in the Denver metro area. And I look forward to working with all of you on addressing the systemic gaps that we face to doing our jobs and meeting the needs of our communities.
Senator Smallwood.
Morning again, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I don't remember this being an issue last year. I appreciate where the sponsors are coming from on this, and I appreciate people coming to the well and talking about how we think we're going to be doing a good thing for aides by offering them health benefits through the state. But what's missing is we didn't talk about how much the aides are going to have to pay for the health insurance that we're going to offer them through the state. You didn't hear anybody come and talk about that up here. Maybe it's because they don't know, or maybe because they do know, and they know that it's not even close to free, and in fact, it's kind of expensive to be offered health benefits that you have to buy, just like we all have to buy it as legislators. It's not free. So here's the arithmetic that I'm going to share with you so that when your aides talk to you next year about why their health insurance is now costing them more than it did this year, you will be able to explain to them what you did, why you did it, and why you thought it was a good idea. Because remember, when somebody doesn't make very much money in our state, where should they go to get their health plan? Medicaid, number one, right? They make less than 138% of federal poverty level. And if they do that, then their premium goes to zero, and basically all of their health care is free or nearly free. They're on Medicaid. Some of your aides may qualify for Medicaid. Many of them probably don't because they make more than 138% of federal poverty level. 133, 138 for those of you that know the difference in the formula. Now, if they make more than 138, but less than 250% of federal poverty level, which my concern is many of your aides do fall in that bracket. If they do, and they go to our state's exchange, they can buy health insurance that is heavily subsidized, nearly to the point in some cases of being free to them, and they will qualify for cost-sharing reductions, which will dramatically reduce their out-of-pocket costs, their premiums, and their out-of-pocket costs, their deductibles, their co-pays, their co-insurance. Once you offer this program to them through the state, my concern is you will now make them ineligible to be able to go to the exchange potentially because they have an offer of good and affordable health care offered to them through the state. And that's my concern. My concern is you will be making them ineligible for those premium subsidies and for those cost-sharing reductions. Now, if you have aides that are making, let's say, between 250 and 400% of federal poverty level, those cost-sharing reductions go away, but colleagues, there's still subsidies for them. And my concern is that their cost for insurance, minus those cost-sharing reductions, will make the state's plan potentially worse for them. So if we are concerned about high-paid aides, interns, and their ability to get health insurance, I completely agree with you. I am with you. Offering them the state's plan is going to be a good thing. But colleagues, I hope you do the math. I hope you do the arithmetic for your aides and interns, the ones that you're standing here talking about, that you know exactly how much they're earning, where that falls within FPL, because I'm very concerned that there are going to be unintended consequences that we're going to be dealing with a year from now, and those will be conversations that you have with your aides and interns, because, colleagues, I'm voting no. So thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to add one additional thought to this conversation this morning that we haven't covered yet, and that is the absolute need for this body to have high-quality aides in our offices, and that depends on better pay and better benefits. Why is that important, and why is that in the public interest? We are spending public funds today with this bill. Why is that in the public interest? Because the alternative is that we do not have adequate support for these important jobs that we have run for. And that means we transfer power and influence to the other side of the glass. Does that serve the public interest? I ask you. I don't believe it does. I think having this General Assembly properly resourced and staffed serves the public interest in very important ways. If nothing else, the 35 of us are asked to steward $35 billion a year. We are making massively important financial decisions, not to mention all the other statutory work that we do. 800 bills a year. The alternative to better pay and better benefits for aides is to transfer power to special interests and to the lobby. It does not serve the state well. I am very supportive of this bill. I am very supportive of properly resourcing our offices to do the massively important job to which we have been hired. We get hundreds of requests from constituents sometimes every day. We have hundreds of bills to evaluate. We have billions of dollars to carefully appropriate. Folks, this is a great step forward. There's more we need to do. And I ask you to consider the alternative, which is to diminish the ability of this important body to do its work. This is not 1910. We are not looking at a very small budget as they did 100 years ago. We are not looking at the situation from decades past. We have a huge amount on our plates. We all know that. We all feel that every single day. We need to give ourselves the support to do this job right, and it serves the public interest to pass this bill.
Senator Story.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise in support of Senate Bill 244. It is so imperative that we have the support that we need in order to get our work done. As has been said by others, this job is incredibly important. I invest way more than full-time hours. I know many of the people in this room do the same, and it's imperative that we have the staff and support to help us do our jobs. In terms of cost for healthcare benefits, among the 6 plans that are available for us to choose from, it will cost between $25 to $55 a month. That is a pretty minimal cost to provide a significant benefit to our aides that are professionals and don't get the recognition for such. We need their effort and their work to help provide the support that we need in order to be able to do our job. And during the pandemic, we are working so hard to support people on the outside who really need our support, who are on the brink of going over the edge, who have lost their jobs and lost their health care and so forth. And the work that we are doing is imperative in order to help support them. And having staff to be able to do that work is really, really critical. So I urge an aye vote on this very important bill to support our staff.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. Public benefit programs that are given to people who are working are a government subsidy for the employer that is not paying enough to the person that is working for them. Our aides should not be on Medicaid. The state is paying for them if they're on Medicaid anyway. Our aides should be taken care of by us. They are working for us. The least we can do for folks that are starting their careers, or hopefully, once we pass this, folks that are professionals who can handle the fights with the lobby. I think the senator from Denver said it very accurately. The less support we have in our own offices, the more control goes to folks on the other side of the glass. We owe it to the people who work for us to take care of them. Healthcare is something that we need to provide, and not through Medicaid, because the state's still providing it that way, but through the benefits that they get for working for us. Please vote yes on this bill.
Having no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Bill 244. On third reading and final passage, are there any no votes? Mr. Minority Leader. Senators Sonnenberg, Quorum, Simpson, Rankin, Woodward, Scott, Smallwood, Kirkmeyer, Liston, Gardner, Heisey, Cook, Lundin. With 21 ayes, 14 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 244 is passed. Co-sponsors: Senators Danielson, Hawkes Lewis, Bridges, Hansen, Moreno, Lee, Winter, Coleman, Janal, Gonzalez, Kolker, Story, Buckner, Pedersen, Zenzinger. Will the clerk please read the title to House Bill 1160?
House Bill 1160 by Representative Duran and Soper and Senators Janal and Quorum concerning the care of pet animals in the custody of certain pet animal facilities.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. We move House Bill 1160 and ask for an aye vote.
Is there further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is passage of House Bill 1160 on third reading and final passage. Are there any no votes? Senators Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Heisey, Priola, Rankin, Gardner, Minority Leader, Simpson, Cook, Lundin, Scott, Kirkmeyer, Woodward. With 22 ayes, 13 no votes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, House Bill 1160 is passed. Co-sponsors: will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 011?
Senate Bill 11 by Senator Fields and Representative Mullica and Pelton concerning responsibilities of a pharmacist related to opiate antagonists.
Senator Fields.
Mr. President, I move Senate Bill 11 on third reading and final passage and ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion? Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, as you'll remember, when we heard this bill yesterday on seconds, I'd asked for a senatorial 5 because I was concerned about an amendment that was brought on seconds that was talking about the requirement to let patients know that there may be brand name opioid antagonists and there may be generic opioid antagonists, but that it was missing the discussion to the cost to the patient. And so after deliberations, my takeaway was that you might be open to a third reading amendment, which would better inform the patients about what is the least expensive product for them. So with that, Mr. President, I'd ask for permission for the dreaded third reading amendment.
The question before the body is to allow the good senator from Douglas County to offer a third reading amendment. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, permission is granted. There is an amendment at the desk. Will the clerk please read Amendment L014?
Amendment L014 to Senate Bill 11.
Senator Smallwood.
Colleagues, this is the easiest amendment that you'll see today. I move Amendment 14, Mr. President.
Amendment, Senator.
Amendment 14 simply says that when a pharmacist informs the patient that there may be generic opioid antagonists available and brand name opioid antagonists available, that they note to the patient what the cost is. Because of manufacturers' discounts, manufacturers' coupons, and certain insurance companies' formularies, it is very probable, well, I shouldn't say probable, very possible that the brand name is actually less expensive to the patient than the generic. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but isn't it important that we tell the patient? So it's not the most elegant language, perhaps, having had as little time to work on this amendment. I'm open to further discussion, but colleagues, I don't think it's fair that we tell a patient half of the story. I think we should tell them the entire story and let them decide which is the best product for them. I'd ask for your aye vote.
Further discussion, Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I'm going to be urging a no vote on this amendment L013 because we've had some long-standing stakeholder meetings over the summer, and I have not had the opportunity to vet this idea with pharmacists. It could add more to their workload, and I just think that I need to have the opportunity to consult with them before I decide to agree with this amendment. So I'm going to urge a no vote on this amendment L013 because I just don't think it's necessary, and I have not had the opportunity to have a full, complete discussion with those who actually do this work. And I think that they're worthy of being a part of this discussion before we put additional requirements on them. So please, members, vote no on L013.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. And members, I too side with the sentiments of the good Senator Fields from Arapahoe County. Third reading is not the time to be doing this kind of amendment. There is another chamber, and the amendment was adopted on seconds, was negotiated. There's been a lot of stakeholdering gone on with this bill. This bill is important to help reduce the deaths that opioids every year are increasing. I saw the most recent statistics that they've jumped this year even more. So, you know, I respect the good senator from Douglas County, and I understand the pharmacists are dug in on this issue in this bill, and they don't want to bring up these products when it is flagged that a certain customer is buying a lot of opioids or using a lot. But I don't think this amendment should be adopted right now on thirds at this time. I ask for a no vote.
The good senator from Adams County will be fined $2 for referring to the senator from Arapahoe County as the good senator from Senator Fields. Further discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. This amendment has good intention, colleagues, because there is concern about the cost that's generated from the bill itself. And the bill has excellent intentions, and the intentions of the good senator from Aurora are very good with the problem that we have on hand. The issue that we have here is that the liability in the bill, which will also be continued in the amendment, is put all on the pharmacist. And what we should be doing with this situation is what 10 other states are doing, which is when the prescriber writes the prescription for the opioid, they then should write the prescription for naloxone and now buprenorphine, which is now the next product that was just approved for this situation. Colorado, with this amendment and bill, Colorado will be the only state in the country that handles it this way. And what happens in this kind of situation is we try to fix things by adding amendment, an amendment, an amendment, and that's not the best solution. So, colleagues, I just urge us that when one pharmaceutical manufacturer presents a bill, there's a good chance that there's going to be an increase in cost. And that this amendment is trying to get at that, trying to get at what will be the net cost to the patient. Unfortunately, the amendment has not been fully vetted with the pharmacy profession. I am hoping that we can do that as it goes to the House, but I'm hoping in the future that the next time that one company comes to you, I'm hoping we can do a full stakeholder process. So thank you, colleagues.
Senator Janal.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask for a no vote on this amendment. It's already being done, and it's unnecessary. So please vote no.
Senator Smallwood.
Going to be honest with you, colleagues, I really didn't think that this would be something controversial. We've got a bill where we're trying to help patients in our state, and we're going to do that by placing burdens on the pharmacists. Let's say, okay, since the doctor apparently didn't feel that it was important enough to prescribe an opioid antagonist when you've got over 90 morphine milligram equivalents, okay? We're not going to the docs and saying you should do your job when you're doing this. We're instead going to go downstream and put the burden on the pharmacists. That's what this bill does. And everybody's cool with that. Came out of committee, came through seconds. We're great placing that burden on the pharmacists. But now all of a sudden, when we're asked, do we care at all about the patient and how much the patient has to pay for this, now all of a sudden as a body we're like, no, this is too big a burden to place on the pharmacists who we're now placing this burden on. To maybe, I don't know, tell the patient how much this is going to cost. This is now controversial. We've been stakeholdering since the summer, but we're doing second reading amendments. It's too late to have the conversation about changing things, even though we changed it yesterday. Colleagues, can we do the right thing for the patient? The person that's actually paying for this stuff? Let them make that decision? We decided yesterday it was important enough to tell the patient, hey, there's brand names and there's generics. We care enough about that. But we don't care enough to tell the patient, oh, this one might be free because of manufacturers' coupons, discount programs, and the other one might cost you $200 because you're on a high deductible health plan. We don't think that's important. This is common sense. This is one sentence. And it doesn't benefit anybody except the patient. I don't understand the controversy. If you don't like this language, once we add it in, at least we'll send a message to the House that says, we, the Senate, think that it's important that the patient knows how much these things cost. The pharmacist is already doing the work. They already had to go into the system and figure out if there's a generic. Come on, colleagues. Let's do the right thing for the patient here. Ask for an aye vote on the amendment.
Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank my colleague from Douglas County for his passionate remarks. But this is really about saving lives. This is about reversing the effects of an overdose. And it's only for those who are prescribed a very high amount. 90 morphine milligrams. That is a high dosage. The average dosage is, I'm told, is like around 48. So when you talk about a burden, we were talking about burdens on pharmacists, we're talking about a small population where they can offer this measure to save a life. I don't think that's asking too much. When I think about those who are prescribed an opioid, it could be someone that was in a car accident, somebody that was in a sports accident. People get prescribed opioids for a lot of reasons. But this measure is just for those who are at high risk. So it's not going to impact very many. And I think in order for us to make sure that we're creating the best public policy, then we need to have the right people at the table. It's not asking too much for us to table this discussion as it relates to adding this additional requirement until we have an opportunity to talk to pharmacists and let them weigh in it. Because they are the practitioners, they are the folks that are doing the job, and I'm already getting feedback that they want to have a little bit more discussion on this. So we have the time to be patient because it's going to be going to another chamber. And if it's something that they want to add there, then of course they'll bring it back over here and we'll have a conference committee or we'll concur with their amendments. But to do this on the fly right now without consulting the practitioners is just, for me, just not the right approach as we try to make sure that we're passing the best public policy for the state of Colorado. So members, with the increased number of overdoses that we're seeing in the state of Colorado, I think it's warranted to have additional conversations with pharmacists who are going to be making this prescription available to save lives. It's a simple solution to reverse an overdose. So members, yes on the bill and no on the amendment.
Having no further discussion, the motion before the body is the adoption of Amendment L014. Are there any no votes? Senators Danielson, Janal, Bridges, Coleman, Hanson, Priola, Donovan, Kolker, Gonzalez, Lee, Winter, Patterson, Story. Fields, Buckner, Majority Leader. Please add the President. Please add Senator Rodriguez. With 17 aye votes, 18 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Amendment L014 is lost. The motion is the passage of Senate Bill 011. Are there any no votes? Senators Lundin, Sonnenberg, Smallwood, Scott, Gardner, Liston, Woodward. With 28 aye votes, 7 no votes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 011 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senators Janal, Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1103 lay over until tomorrow, April 29th.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted, and House Bill 1103 will lay over until 4/29/21 and retain its place on the calendar. Consideration of resolutions. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Joint Resolution 019?
Senate Joint Resolution 19 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representative Pelton and Holtorf concerning the designation of a portion of United States Highway 138 as the Jack Annan Mr. NJC Memorial Highway.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 19 and ask that it be read at length.
Will the clerk please read Senate Joint Resolution 019?
Senate Joint Resolution 19 by Senator Sonnenberg and Representatives Pelton and Holtorf concerning the designation of a portion of United States Highway 138 as the Jack Annan Mr. NJC Memorial Highway. Whereas John Jack L. Annan, affectionately known to many as Mr. NJC, was born on May 17, 1933 in LaSalle, Colorado, to John and Zua Annan. And whereas Jack Annan was a highly educated man, having attended LaSalle High School through the 9th grade, graduating from College High School in Greeley in 1951, graduating from Colorado A&M College in 1955 with a degree in vocational agriculture, and earning his master's degree in education in 1966. And whereas Jack Annan met his wife Florence Hoff Annan in high school, and she would become his wife on September 19, 1954. The inseparable couple would be together for 66 years. And whereas after graduating from Colorado A&M, Jack Annan served as an ROTC commission in the United States Army and went on to serve 6 months on active duty at Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Aberdeen, Maryland. And whereas after earning his master's degree, Jack and Florence Annan moved to Sterling, Colorado, where Jack began teaching in the Northeastern Junior College NJC Agricultural Department, where he was instrumental in organizing the Aggies Club in 1968. And whereas Jack Annan was loyal to the Northeastern Junior College, taking on the roles of vocational counselor in the admissions office in 1970 and part-time executive director of the NJC Alumni Association in 1996. And since 2000, he worked with a committee to organize the NJC Alumni Heritage Center, continuing to be a pillar of his community all the while. And whereas Jack Annan was also instrumental in organizing the Colorado Young Farmers Education Association, where he served as executive secretary from its creation until 2015. And whereas Jack Annan was a member of the Sterling Lions Club, a lifelong member of the Sterling Elks Lodge, a member of the Sterling Masonic Lodge as a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason, and a member of the Sterling First Presbyterian Church, where he served as an elder. And whereas Jack Annan received a number of recognitions and awards, including Outstanding Lion of the Year, Logan County Citizen of the Year, and Merit Award for Outstanding Service to Vocational Education. And whereas a bronze statue of Jack Annan was erected on the Northeastern Junior College campus in 2004, recognizing him as Mr. NJC. And whereas Jack Annan passed away at the age of 87 on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021, in Windsor, Colorado, while surrounded by his loving family. And whereas Jack L. Annan was a dedicated leader, educator, servant, mentor, father, and grandfather who had a profound influence on the members of his community. Jack was a friend to all and always made an effort to learn about each person and help them achieve their goals. His passion for education and advocacy will continue to inspire many and shall not be forgotten. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 73rd General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, 1, that the portion of United States Highway 138 from the intersection of United States Highway 138 and North 2nd Street in Sterling, Colorado, to the intersection of United States Highway 138 and Pioneer Road, be designated as the Jack Annan Mr. NJC Memorial Highway. 2, that the Colorado Department of Transportation may accept and expend gifts, grants, and donations for the purpose of the initial placement of signs to mark United States Highway 138 from the intersection of States Highway 138 and North 2nd Street in Sterling, Colorado, to the intersection of United States Highway 138 and Pioneer Road as the Jack Annan Mr. NJC Memorial Highway. 3, that the Colorado Department of Transportation may explore a cooperative agreement with the Board of County Commissioners for Logan, Colorado for the maintenance of the signs marking the Jack Annan Mr. NJC Memorial Highway. Be it further resolved that copies of this joint resolution be sent to Florence Annan, Bill Annan, Sherry Talbot, the Northeastern Junior College Alumni Association, and Northeastern Junior College President Jay Lee.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President, and members, please be seated. You know, I was hoping that I would never have the opportunity to do this. You kind of hope these kind of gentlemen live forever. The interesting part about Jack is that I have known Jack for a number of years in a different way than most of the community has at NJC. I grew up with his son. Well, many would argue that Bill, myself, and all of the cowboy clan that hung out together never did grow up. But we learned a lot together. We got in trouble together. And during all of that time, and we had slumber parties. Do they still call them slumber parties? Sleepovers, whatever it is, where all us guys would go over to somebody's house. And when we'd go to somebody's house like Jack's and Bill's, and we would get in trouble, we would wade through the irrigation ditch. We would start some other farmer's tractor and take it on a joyride. Jack never frowned. Such a loving, and neither did Florence. I mean, Jack and Florence are the ideal couple that you would see anytime you wanted a vision of that perfect marriage and family. Always smiling, always happy, and maybe that's why he was so good at his job. He was truly one of those that never believed working at NJC was a job. It was a privilege for him. And he enjoyed it immensely, and even after he retired, he continued to go there every day and be helpful. He was always helpful to the community. He is known throughout the state, probably in every high school, as he would go there and try and convince young people to go to Northeastern Junior College. He's known all around the country in the agriculture world and the ag leadership world as he founded the Young Farmers, which is a post-education deal where a bunch of young people work on leadership skills and those type of things. He used to, many of you that were here not that long ago, remember he used to come to the Capitol. He would bring the leadership team from that group to the Capitol to introduce them to people like you so that they could make a difference. Along with this resolution, I have this tribute. I'm not going to read it to you, as the information in this tribute is much of what you just heard in the resolution. But what I will tell you is this truly is a man that will be missed by a community and by an institution. The highway that we are designated as Mr. NJC, just kind of a cool little ring to it. It's about a mile long. It's a U.S. highway, and it encompasses, it goes right along the edge of the Northeastern Junior College campus. So whether you're coming in from the northeast or coming in from the southwest on Highway 138, you will see those signs, and people will smile because they will actually remember Jack Annan as Mr. NJC. Mr. President and colleagues, thank you for the opportunity to talk about my good friend. I do want to add one other thing. He has a great birthday. May 17th, 1933. Same birthday as me. Now, many of you are saying, nah, Jerry, you're older than you were born before 1933. It may look that way, but we were born on May 17th together. I had to throw that in. So if you were giving Jack a present, please feel free to forward that to me now. Members, again, thank you for the opportunity to bring this before you. Help me create that living legacy of that highway by Northeastern Junior College as we celebrate the life of Jack, Mr. NJC Annan. Thank you, Mr. President. Ask for an aye vote.
Having no further discussion, the motion before the body is the passage of Senate Joint Resolution 019. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 019 is passed. Co-sponsors, Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll put my mask back on so the sergeants don't have to come back up here and clean this, and I hope you can hear me. I move that the morning roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Sorry, Mr. President. Let's do the current roll call as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, the current roll call will be added as co-sponsors on Senate Joint Resolution 019. Consideration of House amendments. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 167?
Senate Bill 167 by Senators Holbert and Bridges and Representative Gray and Larson concerning the regulation of child care centers.
Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am sorry to do this, but I move that the Senate concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 167.
Will the Minority Leader please explain why the Senate should concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 167?
Yes, Mr. President, thank you for that opportunity. We always try to find, or I try to find, some humor in pointing out what the House did in its less than infinite wisdom. If you look on pages 2 through 4, I don't think it goes further than that, the House added the word district before charter school, and the sentence read charter school or institute charter school. So they help differentiate a district charter school from an institute charter school in many places, and that I don't think it causes any harm. It doesn't cause me any concern, but apparently the House needs to understand that there is a distinction between an institute charter school and all other charter schools. And then in the overall concept of the Senate Bill 167, we're trying to eliminate confusion and dual regulation. And I think really the least best work the House did can be found on pages 6 and 7, where on, I believe on second reading on the bill, we talked about scenarios where child care centers were written up for violating these dual regulations. In one scenario, a child care center was written up because their ratio of adults authorized to supervise children was 1 too low, because there was a fire truck down the street that had the street blocked, and that employee couldn't get to work because the fire truck was in the way. And that just seems somewhat ridiculous. So on pages 6 and 7, you'll see the amendment that we added here in the Senate. During an emergency circumstance, a child care center may permit an employee who has successfully completed a criminal background check requirements, but is not a qualified caregiver to supervise children for not more than 2 hours while the child care center secures a qualified caregiver. That would be in the emergency situation. And then if you look 20 lines or so below that, the House has added descriptions of what those emergency situations could be. Things like illness, death, accident, law enforcement action, road closure, hazardous weather, emergency bodily function. You can ask our friends in the House about that one. Child elopement or providing emergency attention or care to a child. So that all seems reasonable. If there is an emergency, then we'll give them a little tolerance, and just want to thank our colleagues in the House for providing that clarity, which to me seems maybe the opposite of clarity, but let's go ahead and agree with our friends in the House so that we can eliminate some of the confusion, I guess.
Senator Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. President. A yes on concurrence means placing emergency bodily function into the state code. Just want to make sure we're all clear on that. So we ask for your concurrence.
Thank you, House.
Having no further discussion, the motion is that the Senate concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 167. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused.
You did it.
That motion is adopted. Mr. Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 167.
The motion is for the repassage of Senate Bill 167. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 167 is repassed. Co-sponsors. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 155?
Senate Bill 155 by Senators Heisey and Story and Representative Amabali and Basley concerning the appointment of a resident of a locality in which limited gaming takes place to a limited gaming control commission.
Senator Heisey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate reject the House amendments to Senate Bill 155 and that a conference committee be appointed.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is that the Senate not concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 155 and that a conference committee be appointed. Are there any no votes? With 35 aye votes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, that motion is adopted. The following senators are appointed as members of the First Conference Committee on Senate Bill 155. Senators Story, Chair, Danielson, and Heisey. Will the clerk please read the title to Senate Bill 013?
Senate Bill 13 by Senator Fields and Representative Bacon and Froelich concerning measures to adjust student learning loss occurring as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Senator Fields.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate concur with the House amendments to Senate Bill 013.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Senator Fields.
Members, I just wanted to explain a little bit about what the amendments are that the House added. They're really good amendments, additions to the bill. Basically, it puts in strategies to make sure that the resource bank and information is appropriate for rural and small schools to overcome learning loss. And they also added a component to ensure that parents and students are available of these courses that would take place starting summer of 2021 through the academic year of 2021-22. So I urge for an aye vote and ask that we move for the repassage of Senate Bill 13.
The first motion before the body is that the motion is that we concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 013. Are there any no votes? With 35 aye votes, 0 noes, 0 absent, and 0 excused, that motion is adopted. Senator Fields.
Mr. President, I move for the repassage of Senate Bill 013.
Motion is for the repassage of Senate Bill 013. Are there any no votes? With 35 aye votes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, Senate Bill 013 is repassed. Co-sponsors: Senators Moreno, Hansen, consideration of governor's appointments, consent calendar. Will the clerk please read all the appointments listed on the consent calendar?
Member of the Board of Trustees for Western State Colorado University, effective December 31st, 2024, term expiring December 31st, 2024. Teresa Marie Cesarica, Boulder, Colorado, Democrat, appointed for term expiring December 31st, 2024. Alvina Marie Vasquez of Wheatwoods, Colorado, Democrat, occasioned by the resignation of Annalise Marie Lovely of Golden, Colorado, appointed members of the Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System for terms expiring December 31st, 2024. Kimberly Beth Jordan of Fort Collins, Colorado, Larimer County resident and Democrat, reappointed. John Stephen Fisher, Golden, Colorado, serves as Republican, appointed member of the Charter School Institute Board for terms expiring July 1st, 2023. Maribel Abriki of Glenwood Springs, Colorado, serving as representative of the Board of Public Service Experience, appointed. Eric Cedric Lurnham of Denver, Colorado, to serve as a member of the Board or Public Service Experience and as Democrat, reappointed. Members of the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors for terms expiring June 30, 2024. Marianne Virgili of Carbondale, Colorado, unaffiliated, reappointed. Margaret Henry, Brighton, Colorado, Republican, reappointed.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar, which includes members of the Board of Trustees for Western State Colorado University, Board of Governors of the Colorado State University System, the Charter School Institute Board, and members of the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority Board of Directors.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the motion is the confirmation of all the appointments listed on the consent calendar. Are there any no votes? With 35 ayes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 excused, all of the appointments are confirmed. Message from the House.
April 28th, Mr. President, the House has passed on third reading, transmitted to the Revised Statutes, House Bill 1027, 1142, amended as printed in House Journal, April 27th.
Message from the Reviser.
We herewith transmit, April 28th, we herewith transmit without comment as amended House Bills 1027, 1142.
Message from the Governor.
Tuesday, April 27th, Colorado Senate. Honorable members of the Colorado Senate, pursuant to authority vested in the office of the Governor of the State of Colorado, I have the honor to inform you that I have approved and filed with the Secretary of State the following acts. Senate Bill 218, Colorado Department of Labor and Employment and Training Technology Fund, approved on Tuesday, April 27th at 12 p.m.
Announcements. Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ag Committee will convene at 11 a.m.
Senator Danielson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. I see so much denim in the chamber today. I just wanted to remind folks that we'll do a little photo, so maybe don't rush off just yet. I was thinking maybe we could just gather in the back all together for those of you who would like to take a group photo. And if you haven't had a chance to put your cash in the box, there's one up here and one over there, and I'm really grateful for your participation. So just hang around for when business is done and we'll get a photo with everybody. Thank you.
Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, if you enjoy dressing up, there is another opportunity on Friday. Friday is Decision Day, and what Decision Day is that Colorado students, staff, businesses, and community members are encouraged to wear gear to represent their favorite post-secondary schools, alma mater, or future program to support students' future education aspirations. Decision Day is an important milestone in a young student's life, so don't forget to wear your college gear on Friday as we celebrate Decision Day for all students and celebrate our post-secondary institutions here in Colorado. And you should have received a poster for this or a little flyer on your desks, and if not, they'll be coming out shortly. In addition, my second announcement is the Senate Education Committee will meet upon adjournment today, and we will be hearing House Bill 1087, 1133, and 1067. Thank you.
Senator Lee.
Thank you, Mr. President. There will be no Judiciary Committee meeting today or tomorrow.
Further announcements? Mr. Majority Leader. Senator Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry for my delay, but I just want to advise that our Health and Human Services Committee, we have no bills this afternoon, but we do have some appointments that we need to make. Thank you.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we do have some bills to read across. You all should not feel obligated to be here. Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 12 noon today.
You have heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have, the motion is adopted, and the Senate will stand in recess until 1200 hours today.